World of YouTube, TRUE site here, and we're gonna go over some comments for Mr. Malcolm Young, the late great, one of the founding members of AC/DC. And I'm glad this just came up because I've been waiting to put this all forth and really, give my take on Led Zeppelin. This will probably be one of my final videos of even talking about this band, because to me, the high egotistical, boundaries that all members of Led, I don't know, I can't say that about John Paul Jones. He don't really stick out as much as Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, but I'm sure he does have his agreements with them, and I don't know if he doesn't like some of the decisions they make, but that is something to be known and heard only out of the horse's mouth himself. That would be Mr. John Paul Jones is right. But my dislike and distasteful, and of course, I've said it before, even though I put out a video a long time ago about, hey, Led Zeppelin, make another album, like around the time when Black Sabbath finally reunited with Ozzy and made the 13 album, which was another masterpiece from the creators of heavy metal themselves, which I cannot stand when they say Led Zeppelin is heavy metal, and then they go off to say is the greatest rock band of all time. Well, I got news for you. I don't care what anybody says. They are not the greatest rock band, and they are not creators of heavy metal. The majority of Led Zeppelin songs, and I don't know, maybe I will do that. That is something I would like to go over, and with the albums that I do have laying around in the attic and my pick of songs that I used to listen to, I can tell you there's nothing heavy about Led Zeppelin. It's all hard rock and roll. And if I was to create a great rock and roll band of all time and say so, I would pick Journey, let alone Zeppelin. Because the main thing about Zeppelin is that they stole riffs, and it's just ridiculous that they get to now, keep and not pay a dime. I remember saying it on one of these news break pages type thing, that they finally don't have to pay royalties or whatever, maybe because all the original people that made the melody for Stairway to Heaven have passed now, and that they ain't gonna pay no more, right? Why? And they look like with their shit-eating grins on the... No, I think that wasn't new, because I was watching them smiling and shit-eating grins that they gave, because we don't have to pay royalties no more. Royalties, oh chap. But let alone, Robert Plant don't like singing that song or performing it no more. And hey, I wouldn't blame him, because, hey, buddy, that ain't your tune. You stole it and put your own lyrics to it, and that ain't a real band. On the other hand, Journey, all original. And they can rock the show, even though there are differences with Journey. I got another thing that I brought up on Journey, too. I just found the article of the original interview with Steve when he had hip problems, and he found out he had bone decay or something in his hip, and he couldn't finish the show or the tour for their Trial by Fire album. But yet when they behind the music come out or whatever, and they did that rock thing on the band saying Steve was in control, Steve this and Steve that, and blah, blah, blah. Like, wow. They made Steve look like a big a-hole. But I remember that interview when he came out with that, and right around the 90s, just before MTV, or maybe it was VH1 Behind the Music, yeah. Yeah, screw MTV. They went from a music video to lame dumping, who knows what anymore. I don't even watch that. But it was Behind the Music that he said all that interview about his hip surgery. Do what you gotta do, and then they went on to bring on Arnell, the disrespectful little turd that didn't even come up and shake Steve's hand when he invited him up on the Rock Hall of Fame stage. That's a whole nother video. Let's get back to the business. So anyways, Mr. Angus Young called, and I quote, a poser, a bit of a poser. It appears that Led Zeppelin's singer didn't correspond with the classic leads. What? Didn't correspond with the classic lead singer image that Malcolm had in his mind. Thus, the guitarist took a bit considering attitude toward Plant by describing him as a poser who behaved in a certain way to impress the audience. Well, that right there, I'll tell you right now. What the hell? Tripping over sand dunes is a good example, perfect example of calling Mr. Robert Plant also an egotistical person. Because if you got to do a certain thing on stage and don't act like yourself, then that's an ego too. You're trying to do something and make people think who you are is who you are, and you're really not. And for him to say what he said, and now it came out why, and I didn't do that only because, I'm trying not to. I mean, I want to do it, but I don't want to do it. But, Robert Plant with his, why he did not reunite Led Zeppelin, why he did not make another album. Well, this comment by Malcolm and him saying what he said, and what I think of him being egotistical, all brings it together as the truth, and all brings it together perfectly of what he's all about. So with that being said, he told Jason Bonham himself he could not continue doing the band, even though he did do a couple shows with Jason Bonham, but he will never do another show, even though he can play everything that his father did, and rightfully right, he does, and he did because, of course, his father taught him. I had that kid on the drums at 2 years old banging them out. Home videos showed and proved that. But for him to say this and he can't continue and do nothing with the band because, that's selfishness right there. You would think you would honor your passed away bandmate by letting his son come up on that damn stage or even make a damn album. Robert Plant claims he's not retiring. Well, obviously people don't want to see him in his band because his shit don't even hit the radio no more. He comes out with a song and album and it's lame. I heard some of one new song a few years back and it was lame as hell. It was nothing to be, this is Robert Plant. Now, I did kind of like Now and Zen, Cool-Hearted or Cool, what the hell was that name? I can't even remember it. I don't even listen to it no more. But there was a couple songs that, I dug, and when he's driving in the desert, and what the hell is that? Shit. And see, this is how much I'm disappointed in Led Zeppelin, in what he does and what he did. And for him not to make an album and not let Jason Bonham play with their supposedly legendary songwriting lyrics and, melody, great music type playing and blah, blah, blah. That's disrespectful to John Bonham all around, and that's exactly why I will never listen to another Led Zeppelin song or album that comes on the radio. I shut it off. I mean, everybody praises them as great, but they're not. And for Angus Young and his brother Malcolm to go watch a show and leave after the first couple songs. Now, these are true performers. These are true grit. Legendary songwriters, riff writers. And as you can see, Angus is still continuing on his brother's legacy and bringing us, great albums. I mean, even their Power Up album went #1, all right? And I bought that goddamn album too, man, and I did listen to it, and it's all just what AC/DC brings to the table and puts up every friggin' time. And I mean, Angus's nephew plays a great role in that band, and you see the pattern, right? You let the next legendary or whatever person to come along that does do it. You don't let a legendary band die, you continue it. And that's what Robert Plant did. He let it die. Him and Page. Just because he knew him since he was 15, he couldn't do it no more. I mean, if you're that selfish and that egotistical, then you shouldn't even be a musician. That ain't what you do, man. That's ridiculous. It's selfishness. AC/DC did it. They carried on. Ozzy carried on. We lost another legendary guitarist, just as great as Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads was, You continue in that legacy. You got to continue on. And look what the mighty Pantera is going to be with a legendary friend and guitarist, Zakk Wylde. Charlie from friggin' SOD, Anthrax. Gonna pay tribute to Vinnie Paul and Dimebag, just like it should be. And they brought upon the right people to do that. I mean, it probably, they probably were thinking Rex and Phil not to do something like that, but, I mean, the families were all probably, even though the families and how they were attacking Phil and everything, and just the terribleness, the way the band broke up, and the things that were said to one another. But now the smoke is cleared, everything's gone, and they're gonna be doing this tribute, legendary, and that's what Jason Bonham was to do for his father, but he cannot do it because of Robert Plant's egotistical poser. Poser, I could see him as a poser. And he probably don't want to show anybody his true self because he ain't true. Just like Jimmy Page, man, you got to take people's riffs. Yeah, they made the song better of, Stairway to Heaven or whatever. I mean, yeah, when I did first hear that, I mean, I was like, wow. And then they get into the break, and then they get into the speed up of the song, and then they get, now that's how music's supposed to be made. But when I found out that was someone else's riff, along with like 4 other songs, I'm like, wow, no way. That ain't right, man. You don't go around taking riffs and using them and making it your own. I'm sorry, they might have made that riff a little better because I remember listening to the original song of Stairway to Heaven, and it was just like, they were a little off from key and everything. You could tell where, yeah, Jimmy Page put the excellence into the riff, but that was someone else's riff, and whether it sucked or not, that was wrong, man. You don't go doing that to other fellow musicians. You make your own stuff. You make yourself legendary like AC/DC. It's about a wonder why they're on the top 3 best-selling albums. Number 3, where's Led Zeppelin's top best-selling album of all time? It ain't even near AC/DC. Now that's a band. And I'm sorry, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Ozzy, but he ain't even up there. Michael Jackson, Shania Twain. I mean, the Eagles are up there. There's another true legendary rock band. And they say Led Zeppelin's. That's BS, man. But I'm glad they're showing this stuff and coming out with this stuff, because, you know, if they want to prove themselves to be the best legendary rock band of all time, they better start getting Jason Bonham in that studio, and they better start letting him help write music like his old man did, and play them forbidden drum solos and drum songs that they would not let other people play. And that's that. That's the only way they're going to fix it with me. Give that respect to John Bonham and his kid, man, because the way you guys went down, and even Jimmy Page gonna sue him because he said he gave him cocaine at 17 years old, for a birthday gift. You know, come on, man. You guys are just ridiculous. But I don't know. I might go over a video about the music and what I used to like and what what caught my eye on them, but it might be a while too. But this is a message to Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. You want to clear your names, get in that studio, write your own music, do your own riffs, and let Jason Bonham in there right along with his father to prove. He don't even have to prove, but you do. You too have to prove it. And give him the backup so he can give you the backup to prove that you're just the greatest rock band of all time. And if you don't, it only proves that you're not. That's it, folks. That's it. Oh, fuck. I think still recording. Yeah, that's right. Out.